So Cloudflare recently faced its dashboard and API outage in September 12, 2025. Now Cloudflare is known for providing best security, but it faced a huge outage. The outage was not because of backend or API, it was because of a front-end issue. And that issue is not other than use effect. In this video, we will read the article published by Cloudflare and then understand the problem, and then I will show you what the problem actually was by coding. So let us read the article that was published by Cloudflare. A deep dive into Cloudflare's September 12, 2025 dashboard and API outage. So okay, what happened? We had an outage in our tenant service API which led to broad outage of many of our API and the Cloudflare dashboard. Okay, the incident impact stemmed from several issues, but the immediate trigger was a bug in the dashboard. The bug caused repeated unnecessary calls to the tenant service API. The API calls were managed by a React use effect hook, but we mistakenly include a problematic object in its dependency array. So okay, the problem was in use effect hook, and the use effect hook was being called again and again because the object was being changed again and again, and that caused the use effect to run again and again, and the backend service was the API was being hit again and again. So let me show you how this happened by coding. So I have a React application, and now here I will show you how the problem actually occurred. So let me create a state called data. So data equals to used state, and let me keep it as null for now. So this is a state which holds data. Now I will create an object. So basically the Cloudflare outage was occurred because the object was being changed again and again. So let us create an object. So const params equals to, so I will give name, let me console you. So this is our object, and now what I'll create is I'll create a use effect hook. So a basic console.log fetching from API, and here I will create a basic API fetching. So this is the code. So this is a fake API where we are calling this fake API, and then we're converting that into JSON, and then we're console.logging data received, and then we are setting the data. Let me also do catch, and if there is an error, then do nothing. Now in the use effect dependency array, I'll call params, and here let me give a very basic print. So let me show you what the problem is occurring. So let me start this. So npm start. Let me open the console, and now in my network stack you can see that the API is being called again and again continuously. Why do you think the problem is happening? So let me first stop the application. Now why do you think the API is being called again and again? So let us understand from top to below. So first of all, we have a state called data, and currently it is null, and then we have created a params which we are storing in the memory. What use effect essentially does is that whenever the params changes, we will call this function. So what this does is first run this function, and if there is a change in params, then again run this function. Again, if there is changes in params, then again run this function. So first of all, when this use effect runs, first we have the console log, and then we fetch from this API. We convert that into JSON, we console.log out, and then here we are setting the data. So we are updating the data state. Now, when we update the data state, the component again re-renders. So here when we set the data, again the component re-renders. So we create a new params, and when we create a new params, this function will run. So this function will keep on running continuously, and the backend API will be hit again and again. And this was the reason why the backend tenant service API was being hit again and again, because in the use effect dependency array, the params object was passed, but params object was changing again and again. So this was the reason why Cloudflare faced this outage. So hope you understood how the outage occurred.